Alright, so I've got a couple boxes here from Swag Off-Road. This was one of my Christmas presents. So this is, I believe, the finger press brake kit. Some very heavy boxes. So I realize that this is something that, I could just buy the steel and design it and make it myself. But this is a well-engineered and designed kit, and I like Swag Off-Road. They're a USA company, their products are made in the US, and I feel like supporting them. So that's why I asked for this kit from them. Yep, so I'm going to read the instructions and then we will get started. Alright, so the first step in putting this press brake kit together is to press these pins into these holes. And you need to leave between an 1/8 and a 1/16 of an inch underneath so that you can weld and fill that gap up. So I'm just going to use a couple washers that are just a hair over 1/8 so that I don't press down too far. And let's see how this goes. Okay, it started. Yep, just a hair more to go. I can feel it underneath the washers there. Feels like just a little bit more. There we go. Alright, do the other side now. Now I'll take it back to the welding table and make sure the pens are square, do any adjustment we need to do there, and then weld it up. Okay, I used a square, machinist square, and adjusted the pens to make sure that they're square in both directions. Did that off camera. As you can see, there's a recess, so I need to tack these in, make sure they're secure, and then fill that whole plug. So I've got the this will be one of my first times using the my new Arc Captain MiG 200, I think it's called. Yeah, MiG 200. Excuse me. To do something like this, I've played around with it and tested it out, but this is the first real use. So have high hopes. I'm going to spray the stuff down with some anti-spatter liquid, and then let's try it out. One of the things I discovered different about this MiG 200 from Arc Captain from my previous MiG welder is that with my previous one, which was substantially cheaper, when it was on, the wire was live at all times. And with this one, it's not until you pull the trigger. So it took me a bit to figure out that. I thought I had something screwed up when it wasn't doing that. So, alright, let's see how this goes. Okay, I'm going to get a wire brush so I can clean that slag out of there. I am using flux core on this. Primarily because that's what I'm used to. So with this, I wanted to use something that I'm used to, and then I'll practice with gas later on. Alright, I'm going to fill that plug up and do the other one. Alright, I think that did it. Alright, I'm going to do the other side, and then we'll move on to the next step. Alright, I've got that weld ground down, and it's not perfect, but you know what? It's not a lot of, there's no pressure or anything on it, it's just for alignment. So I'm just going to go with it, scrape some of this other splatter off here, get that cleaned up, and then I need to weld these tabs on here. I think they go something like that. I don't know, I'll have to look at the drawing and see. Don't remember if they go that way or the other way. But these are basically just to center the bottom of the brake up against the bars, the vertical posts on the press. So these are optional. I will weld them on though. So yeah, not too bad. A good first try with my new Arc Captain welder, and I tell you, my old welder would not have done as well on that, but it was only a 115 volt, and this is a 220, and I actually just ran a 220 line to the shop for it. So had to run a 30 amp 220 line. I had a bunch of 20 amp 220 lines, but so alright, so let's weld these little tabs on, and then we'll move on to the next step. I've got the brake set up, clamped to the table here, because this bar that clamps the fingers to this bar is not quite as wide. There's a little gap here at the bottom, so I've got it clamped here to hold this vertical. And I'm going to try just holding this with one hand while I tack it with the other. It just goes to show that I should have taken the time in the past to make some longer clamps. These clamps aren't long enough. So I went and bought some of these that I can take the this jaw off and put a nut on, but I never got around to doing it. So I don't have a clamp long enough. And I'm doing it out here on the edge. Wasn't working because there's a little bit of taper, I guess, or something out here, so it was rocking. So anyway, yeah, gonna try just tacking this in place here by holding it. So let's see how that goes. Alright, that looks like it went okay. One more and then we'll... I'll flip it around and do the other side. Yeah, okay. Just got a few of the fingers in here now so I can line it up on the ends. And I'm marking the center line on these just to help me line it up. Carbide scribe, my Randy Richards in the shop carbide scribe. These guide tubes only get tacked to this side, or welded to that side. I'm using the synergetic mode, I think it's called, on my Arc Captain MiG 200 here. Last time when I welded the tubes, or the guideposts into the base, I didn't realize I had it in fully manual mode, and so I switched it into synergetic mode or something like that, where I only have to specify the size of the wire, what I'm welding, and whether it's flux core or what it is, and it adjusts everything else. And so far it looks like it did a pretty good job. Alright, now I got to take this apart. and fully weld these tubes on here. But I want to take the fingers out so I don't accidentally weld them to everything else. Tell you what, I am very impressed with this little welder. My old one, first of all, could not have handled this size material, and this one is just so much easier to set up. Alright, I'm going to go with that. If that doesn't hold, I don't think adding a little bit on the inside is going to do anything different. Because as I said before, there's no really twisting force on this, it's just guiding it. So, you know, as with everything else I do, if it doesn't work, I guess I can do it again. I have a feeling it's going to work though. The next step in building this brake is to weld these two carriage bolts on, because this piece, the die I guess, is what it's called, is going to sit in here and be welded in, so you won't be able to get to these. Again, this is to use to hold an arm that acts as a stop for when you're putting material in. So let's get this stuff fired up, tack those on, and then we can get that die welded in. Alright, that should do it. Alright, very cool. So I hit all of these parts with the wire wheel, got all the yeah, whatever you call it. Totally slipping my mind right now. All the crap off from the weld. There's a few places here where there's some splatter sticking to it, so I think I'm just going to clean this up. Not going to go crazy on the grinding. It's actually not too bad, especially for me. So I'm going to hit it lightly, clean it up, and do the same with this part. and then we're just about done. Like I said, I need to weld this ring on. I am not decided yet on whether to weld the locating tabs on that go here. I don't know if you can see that. That go here on either side, basically you can push it up against the frame of the press. I probably will weld them on because that'll also give me something to clamp it to, but we'll see. I'm going to probably try it first. So I'm going to get these welds cleaned up, and then we'll weld this on, and then let's give it a shot. So after carrying this over and trying it out on the press, I decided to go ahead and attach these ears, locating ears. It'll make it much easier. I can just push the thing, the press right up against the vertical supports on the mill, or excuse me, on the press, and can actually even use it to clamp this to the press so it doesn't move. So we're going to weld those on now and clean those up. Alright, I'll get those welds cleaned up a little bit, wire brush them, etc., and try it out on the press again. Alright, the press brake is done. I'm pretty pleased. I mean, a lot of my welds aren't the greatest. These welds along here, I certainly could take some more time and fill in the little voids and stuff, but I don't really care. It's structurally sound, and it's smooth, and I got a little bit of a splatter I got to get rid of in a few places here, but and that's all that matters to me. It's strong, it's going to work, so let's go make something with it. Alright, so I've got the brake set up in the press, and I am going to try bending this piece of 1/4 by 1 steel, I think it's cold rolled, to make some shelf brackets. I got it a little past 90 there, so I need to straighten it out a little bit, but yeah, I am definitely liking this. Alright, I'm going to make some more of these, straighten this one out a little bit. I need to make 3 of these in total, and yeah, thanks for watching.